Hello and welcome back to What's Bubbling at ZIM. I'm Dr. Abstract, and in this bubbling we're going to continue to take a look at what's new in ZIM 019. Let's go to the ZIM site now at zimjs.com, and we've done an intro bubbling already, and let's pop on in here to what's new, and we did a bubbling on the cheat sheet, so you might want to take a look at those if you've just gotten here. And now we're going to look at the shuffler. All right, so happy holidays. So here's what the shuffler does, and we'll start. How about we start up here? Get stars to get to shuffle, shuffle stars to get, no, shuffle to get stars, to get stars. Okay, so as you can see, we're shuffling something, and what we're shuffling are different widths in this case. We have this thing called a scrambler already, and the scrambler has been very handy for making puzzles, and it basically works the same way, except you'd have to scramble things of equal sizes. So it was scrambling a grid, and when it's in a grid, all of our columns need to be the same size so that we can scramble it properly. Or all of the rows need to be the same size. They don't have to be the same size as the columns, but all the rows or all the columns have to be the same size amongst the rows or the columns. But there are times, for instance here, where we've got words of different lengths that we want different lengths. So we made the shuffler, which works on one row or one column, as we have here. And that's been very handy. Yay! So here we are shuffling our trees. You would think that it would go in size order, which would be that, I think. But somewhat confusingly, perhaps it does not. That was on purpose because we realized that we liked a little trunk. So there we have our trunk, and you would then do the rest of these. As you see there, it does have a complete event, much like our scrambler has a complete event as well, so you know when the puzzle's done. And in this case, it's interesting. We've also made a shuffler manager. And you can put each of our shuffling puzzles. So we've got 3 puzzles here, and we want to know when all 3 of them are done. So you can make a new shuffler manager, add these 3 shufflers to it, and then put a complete event on the shuffler manager. So we'll show you down there in the code. That one's now complete. And how are we doing on this one? I think this one goes down here. That goes there. There we go, complete. So now all 3 are complete, and we get our holiday message. Yay! And we can shuffle them up by pressing on the star, and now they're not complete. Cool. Okay, let's go take a look at the code then. Holiday message. If you've come here and it's blazing hot out, sorry. I teach in college, and I always kind of warn our students that when you graduate, it's not going to be cold. There's not going to be snow, so making interactive snowman might not be the best thing to do your project on. Anyway, we've done it here. Oopsies. Anyway, so happy holiday. Here's our shuffler then. We're bringing in ZIM 019 there. Some font, a background picture, and our needles from the assets. We have our background picture and a rectangle. I'm not sure what that's doing. Alpha of 1, no mouse. Rectangle 120. Oh, it's our floor. So there's our ground that the trees are on. We are creating a new shuffler there with a tile. Shuffle to get stars. So the tile can be any tile, or if you put in text, it will then just make a tile of these words. It splits on the spaces and makes a tile of those words. And there's us setting a style on those. And also we could style it, or you can also add a format object which says each of these things are going to be a color of dark and a background color of silver. But you could have probably taken those and put them right up in the style and not use the format object. The format object has other interesting things too, but we'll leave that for you to discover by reading the docs. And we're basically putting that up top at the center, dropping its alpha a little bit, and that gets us our top shuffler. So as you can see, it's not very hard at all to make a shuffler, and that shuffler is really, really handy, especially for e-learning. So that's cool. We come on down, we have our trees. we are setting a bitmap color to get these needles. Do you like those needles? Okay. I don't know. Do we? And Dr. Abstract, do we really need all those needles? So we could have just brought in a color, for instance, a green color there. I don't want to confuse you guys with a matrix. Oh, wait, that's our live version. So we want to then open up the default browser here. And there's a shuffler with just some green colors. Okay, so yeah, don't worry about your matrix and stuff. We hardly ever use Create.js anymore. That's one of the... Oh, that's the first time in a couple of years, I think, I've actually put Create.js in front of something. ZIM is kind of consumed, sat on top of Create.js and consumed it all, but that's going back to a matrix for its bitmap color. We're creating a flare. A flare gives us this strange shape. Actually, we now don't... the flare could have been used for perspective as well. Note that it looks like it's kind of perspective-y. But we now have ZIM perspective, and we're going to show you a bubbling on perspective. So we could have made these with perspective objects, but we didn't need them to be interactive. And perspectives use shaders, which then it just depends if they're animated or not, can use some processing, etc. And really all we need is some shapes. And so we made the flare shape right here as a way to kind of set that up. And the flare's kind of a complicated thing to work with, to tell you the truth, but it is quite not handy. I don't know if it's handy either, but it's quite complicated, but it also can do a lot. So a flare can, for instance, connect these. So this is just one segment of a flare. That makes it very simple, but you could have continued on making as many segments as you want. You could have thrown them horizontally and made them look like three-dimensional walls, or make them vertical and look like rocket ships. So flares can do that. They can also be put into a flare box. And well, just since we're talking about it, and if you recall, we have a cheat sheet right here. And in the cheat sheet, we've got pictures of flares, and I can just show you. So this is a flare right here, and that's a multi-flare. So you can take flares and pin them and make them into multiple shapes. You can also pin them to a box, a flare box. So you can put these flares around the corner of boxes to get these really neat frames for buttons or whatever you want. So anyway, that's the ZIM flare. It's rarely talked about in ZIM. It's one of those things like, oh, can we possibly make this? The vision I got for that was the actually driving into school. I saw people's tail lights, all of the SUVs that are around with all these cool shaped tail lights. Oh, that would be neat to put around buttons. Yeah, we should do that. And that's how flares were born. We do now have perspective, and just to pop back here and give you a quick look at perspective as well to see what we mean. You see how that's now shaped. So if you put a rectangle into a perspective, we could have created those with perspectives. And you can just leave them non-interactive and they don't have to be animated. And then you would have had those shapes as well. Okay, back to the shuffler though. So back to the shuffler. And we are doing some razzmatazz. We're making a bunch of those right there, or scaling them. We're cloning them and then scaling each one smaller. But then we do a little switcheroo with one of them, because what we're doing is putting those into a tile. So tree flares is the array right there. That's the array of these flares that we just made, and we've made a tile of them. And then that tile that we made is going into the shuffler. So the tile that we made it needs to be the end result. So the tile that we made needs to look like this, with the small one at the bottom, then the biggest. Well, it's actually not the smallest, second smallest at the bottom. Okay, so that's the answer. Therefore, the tile needs to be in that order. And we found when we made them just by doing our scaling that it was an upside down tree. Okay, so we just reverse the array. So that reverses our array, but then we also put the tip. So that last one is the tip, the very pointy one. Or, oh, it's right there. Sorry, there's the last one right there. We moved, that's us moving the small, that's us moving this one from up top. Well, it would have naturally been this order right here. Big, smaller, 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 smaller to the here. We haven't even done the triangle yet. And then what we're doing is we're taking that array, reversing it, and then putting this one there. And then the triangle gets added here. Do you see a triangle? Ah, right there. So there's us adding a triangle on the end. So rather than trying to finagle a triangle into there, we just made a triangle for the top. Okay, that gets us our array. And note we're going to do this a few times. Oh, sorry, I don't know why we're copying the flare, tree flares, but whatever, we did. And down here, sometimes if you don't copy, the tile is going to make clone. No, that avoids the clones. I think we needed to copy that a few times, but we ended up not. We ended up shuffling that, so I don't even know if we have to copy. Let me just do a quick check on that. If we grabbed it, if we made 3 tiles, we would have definitely had to copy our array. Otherwise, it would pull these things out of the array, put it in this tile, we make a next tile, and it would pull them out of the array and make the next tile. But if we're making only 1 tile and cloning the whole shuffler, then I think we're good, not even needing it. So we're local. Yeah, that works without copying. So we can just take that copy out. I think initially we didn't clone our main tile. So did I take the copy out? Just, yeah, I did. Okay, so let's update that. Oh, but we'll put the color back in and comment that one out. Now update. I'm just updating to the server live. So okay, yeah. All right, but the point of it is we've got a tile and we're throwing that into a shuffler. So there's the shuffler. We're centering that one. We're cloning the shuffler. So tree 1 was a shuffler. Tree 1 cloning it. We're scaling it, putting it at the left. We're cloning our other shuffler. So that's kind of neat. Isn't that amazing? Like, ZIM's pretty cool, you know, to be able to clone something like a shuffler and have it all still work. Pretty fine indeed. And then we're prepared an emitter for when we get the reward. And then we are taking our trees and putting them into an array. So we have an array of our trees. We are then looping through our trees and saying when the tree is complete, we want to top equals the tree. Oh, we're finding out a variable for the top. And we're locating the emitter at the top. So that's the triangle. And we're locating it at the top. We're also saying, hey, don't shuffle that tree anymore, because otherwise you could unshuffle it and then reshuffle, or rescore again or whatever. After a timeout, we are putting a star on the front. So we did the emitter for a bit, and then the star appears. We are scaling the tree to the tree scale. I don't know why. Scale, tree.scale. Oh, we made a bunch of stars, and our main star works for this big tree right here. Oop. There we go. There's our star. But this tree is scaled smaller. So what we're doing is we're cloning the star. Do we clone the star, or we made another star, or whatever? So we made another star in our timeout. But we always make it the same size and then just scale it to whichever tree we're putting it on. The points are going to be different, possibly, because they're a series. Oh, they are different because we're scrambling 6, 7, or 8-sided stars. So that's why this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But this next star right here will have how many? Let's get her done. 8, 1. Oh crap! I pressed the star. Anyway, it had a different number, and we lose her. Yay! So that's scrambled, and then we mix so that it keeps on going through whatever it's mixed. And what have we got next going on? But that's really nothing to do with the with what we've got here, the shufflers. So coming on down, we are dealing with that star. When we tap on the star, we get rid of the star. We turn the trees back so that we can activate them again. We shuffle them right there. So we've got a shuffle, Yeah, so that reshuffles them, and we're saying in 1.5 seconds, wait this amount of time. Usually you sort of want to show them that you're done and then just shuffle it right away, but we decided to let them, well, they've got to solve all three of them. So normally if you've got just one puzzle to solve, you show they've got the answer, you might do an emitter, but then you want to wait a certain time and scramble it. In this case, we don't want to do that. We want to wait until they press the star. And so because we don't want to unscramble it, we want all three to be able to be solved together. Okay, so we're tapping on it to not automatic, but by the tap, do the shuffle. And what else we got? If we don't have the instructions for bringing them back, and if final animation props, I don't know what's going on there, whatever. And here's our collection, though. This is kind of what I wanted to show you because it does involve the shuffler. We can make a shuffler collection and then pass it the trees that we're operating on. And when that collection is complete, then we can do something. So is that neat? We can have a bunch of shufflers in there. So like I said, it works well shuffling sentences. And you want to know when all the sentences are done, then you can throw each of your sentence shufflers into a shuffler collection. All right, and there's our final message, or happy holidays, with the Dr. Abstract icon that is tapping through to the Dr. Abstract video. You're always welcome to go see that. Yay! And our logo, which is operating with a glitch, so we're going to see glitches soon. And that's up here with this logo. We sort of turn, instead of glitching all the time, we have it so that the glitch can turn on and off kind of randomly using ZIM values built into the glitch. So that's kind of nice rather than glitching all the time, because glitches don't always go all the time. Alrighty, yay! Do you like? This has been a What's Bubbling at ZIM. I'm Dr. Abstract. Come and visit us in the forum. You're welcome to try out the shuffler. And if you want to also try out the scrambler, if you don't know what the scrambler does, scrambler makes great puzzles. I've used that so many times. I've probably made like 100 apps with the scrambler. And so this will also be handy for you guys, especially, like I said, in e-learning. Have a great day or night. But anyway, yeah, come visit us at the forum, zimjs.com/forum or zimjs.com/discord. We'd love to see what you're making and have you say hi. Ciao.